How long am I going to keep my icon as that? I don't know. I am working on new spiffies though, so when I down the buttermilk to cure my ulcers, I'll replace it with the new guy, provided the time comes. Also, pardon my voice, I strained my vocal cords from screaming bloody murder after a night terror, so yeah. I've been doing the calls and may keep doing them. Here's an example of one of them.
Thanks for calling PayPal. This call, including conversations with you or any other person, may be recorded or monitored for quality or security purposes.
But I've also played Corporation before, so I kinda know where this is going. To recap, I'm sick of AI. YouTube and Google love it so much. Is the bubble bursting? I don't know. And you know what? This channel has been trapped in a bit of a dark age for a while. I tried to make a fun video with mirror shades, and then I followed up with the literal most nihilistic album I've ever listened to, Gag Order, and then an album that locked me in an echo chamber that drove me mad. The more I researched, the more insanity I found. And don't forget the fracturing video, and the videos before that. I'm in hell. I haven't made a cover in eons. All the acts I've covered are all my favorites because I've been down in the dumps. Oh, I want to have some fun. Happy times. Halloween is coming up, my favorite holiday. We'll hold off that hurricane for later. While YouTube Music isn't the best streaming service, as I said in my streaming video last year, I saw the issue more on labels not paying artists before I looked at the technology. I like the technology, and if we just fucking paid people for their work, there wouldn't even be any discrepancy. I used YouTube Music because my stuff was there. When I was around the age of 11, and happier, I used YouTube for music. It was useful as someone with no money. My friends nudged me towards Spotify, and I did give it a try. One problem. The app was dog shit. As someone who used fucking YouTube, which had 1 or 2 ads per video, I am being dead serious about this. I didn't mind the ad break.
Want a break from the ads?
That much, but it was more the rest of it. It was slippery, way too easy to pick the wrong song, and way too focused on getting me to listen to the biggest artists. We all know the Scorpion of 2018, but I remember Taylor Swift's Lover got the same treatment, and Billie Eilish's album Where She Cries on it. I hated the app, for various reasons, and I just didn't like streaming yet. Yes, ironic and hypocritical. Canceling in progress. In that, I didn't really like the tech yet. I was in a weird place in the late 2010s where I absolutely dreamed for change and also still used my fucking dollar store phone that barely worked because I was familiar with the layout. I even used a phone someone had dropped on the road that my brother and dad didn't want, and the battery was expanding and it was glitching out my hands, possibly a fire hazard. I still used my 2009 Toshiba laptop, rest in peace, sweet prince, even though it was too old to connect to our modern modem, which had an eyeball, I think. Mostly, I was just stubborn. In fact, I didn't move to the streaming app until 2023. Why? In 2021, after Smiling Friends came out, I bought Premium to watch it and kept it since I was addicted to scrolling and still am. I never switched over to the app for 2 fucking years. I'm so fucking stubborn. It worked though. I listened to a lot of music and even have some music videos memorized like Smoke and Mirrors, Bad Friday, Red Moon, and Liquor Store. In 2023, I learned of a sick, twisted community of degenerates, audiophiles. Basically, I got a new USB controller and headphones since my previous gamer set from whenever was dying. Soundcore Life Q20, real name. It had noise cancelling and stickers. I put it on, listened to one song, and literally that day, this is what music is supposed to sound like? It was my entry drug. It was the ibuprofen to my addiction to hydroxamine. I bought Skull Candy Crushers for my brother for Christmas in 2022. My brother, the fucking awesome sick-ass Giga Chad he was, bought me my first mixing headphones, Audio-Technica ATX 700. A fun fact, they didn't fit me until I grew out my hair. In 2023, I bought a big gamer PC because I hated my laptop and still do. I broke the mouse pad by accident and now I hate it more. It looks expensive and I got it for a bargain. I also bought another pair of Heffies with that because it was a sale and I'm sick. Micro Center is a drug emporium and I'm the poor mouse lost in the strip club. Wait, I'm getting off track. You might be thinking, where did you get this money? Work? I was actually originally saving up for college and I dodged a fucking nuclear bomb. What I learned. I learned that YouTube videos overheat the fuck out of your devices. Where laptops use the heat to give you third-degree burns and drive you to write manifestos, I kinda tolerated my phones, and I decided to use my premium to try out YouTube Music, and while the transition was a bit choppy, here's some notes. Generally, YouTube Music sounds worse than Spotify. Generally. YouTube compresses audio mad to post as videos, and while streaming files are slightly better quality than videos, which have flattened audio, they're still pretty low, even on the highest setting, which you may not know services have. Price-wise, it was a bit higher, but it's about equal now. Spotify used to be the cheapest. It was useful for listening to playlists and such, and while a bit clunky and slow, it was fine. The one thing YouTube had that Spotify didn't was that Google used to understand that having a bunch of people in different niches is great for your platform. Twitch and Spotify constantly funnel everyone to the top artists all the time, but YouTube Music pandered to my desire for weirdness. Yes, Bandcamp did this too, but Bandcamp to me is a little different, and it's mostly for album listening, where I like YTM for songs. They would throw me a bone for my taste and just give me random artists to try, like Tidal, Melbourne Ska Orchestra, and Lola Young.
Already wanna die, you just make it like 10 times worse.
That's how the algorithm gets you addicted. Okay? YouTube in general brought me to a lot of artists over the years. Cyclopean, Sam Grisman Project, Scald, and Keaton Henson came to me from YouTube recommendations. I know people hate the dreaded algorithms, and hey, I hate them too. Again, I can think you can use curated technologies to your advantage, but if you feel more comfortable in analog, go for it, babe, but I like this here technology. Because of various laws involving censorship and internet ID, YouTube has proudly swung their bat towards a child and killed it. The worst way to go about this is to protect some kids mom and dad are too tired to take care of. If you don't want your kid to be radicalized into pronouns, have you tried talking to them? You know, like a parent. Cunts. Australia more like gay. Look, we're having fun. This is a fun video. Fun, butterfly, sugar, ponies, rainbows. I had two options, Apple Music, which had the best rates for artists at 1 cent per, asterisk, and Tidal, which had sound quality but lower rates, asterisk. You may think, wait, what are the rates of Spotify and YouTube Music? Well, shit. Spotify is crap and YouTube is abysmal. If you want to technically be ethical, wouldn't Apple Music be the better option? In a vacuum, sure, every app calculates rates differently, which is confusing for artists alike. Look, labels are still hoarding a lot of cash. Apple Music did their spatial audio bullshit, which for the record, Tidal kinda does, but we'll get to that later. Most streaming services have a cap, and Spotify's been really trying to cut off that cap. Even as they flood their own platform with AI, which they say they don't do, but fun fact, corporations like lying, so I don't know why you losers believe them, you fucking assholes. Also, Apple's mostly for people entranced in the closed-in ecosystem for privacy's sake. They're good with privacy, I guess. If you become an Apple user, you have some leverage in their system. While Tidal isn't great, it isn't YouTube Music. Look, if you care about supporting artists, donate to them. Buy their albums or merch. Go to their shows. Talk to people about them. Make shitty videos about them. Streaming can be a good technology. I really like it. It's useful for collecting songs and finding new music, and while not great in terms of paying artists, that has just as much to do with labels and for-profit ad agencies as it does with the music listener. The technology can be great. Proof? Bandcamp. Hey, why didn't I go there? I'm already there. I like the format of traditional streaming. Bandcamp is a bit pricier for making those collections, and, well, I like the music I've collected as much as new music, even if Bandcamp is amazing for new music. I will do a video on its newer forms. I have some notes on it. And most importantly, Bandcamp is really good for album listening, which is what I use it for. But in terms of singles listening, like pop songs, I prefer streaming because that's where it all is. One last note. I feel like pressing the consumer to be ethical if the producer won't, while certainly a useful step, isn't really the best idea. Yes, people should be aware how they can support artists, but honestly, most people use Spotify because it's useful. They want to listen to music. They don't purchase Spotify because they love monopolies or because they hate babies. You can encourage music listeners to support artists, but labels have to do so as well. That burden can't be pushed down because at some point, burnout will hit the artist under the pressure and the listener could just not have that kind of money. I'll get back to this note later too. On that note, I picked Tidal. While still a company, it does focus on audio quality. It's not perfect, but neither is Bandcamp. Life is cruel. Tidal definitely has Spotify envy, as do all streaming services, and I will get into that, but let me just dump down my thoughts I've gathered. Moving to this platform was a bit of a pain in the arse. While Tidal without money is just short demos of the songs, I learned you cannot enable a membership on the damn service through the app. While I do slightly applaud this, it's fucking Tidal. I'm not accidentally slipping down 7 wells while my wallet is sipped out of my pocket. There's only one transaction, Tidal. I did try out one of those services that copy your stuff over, but I learned that didn't work on Tidal. More on that later. YouTube Music is generally slower, but they hide it by loading playlists and screens and blocks. You get a bunch loaded at once, and then it loads the next segment while you're busy. This is how YouTube loads smoothly. Tidal loads the way most services do, so it just takes a while. It also can't load new stuff if you're playing a song, which I guess makes sense, but also hurry the fuck up. I know what my apartment provides, and I know you can handle the heat. Shuffle is better here than YouTube Music. It's instant, which blows my mind given the sizes of the playlist. YouTube Music is actually pretty decent for just adding songs and new stuff on a dime. Tidal is not. In fact, the first album I learned of this was Somber's I Barely Know Her. If you tap on the first song on the mobile version, it will just shuffle the playlist, where if you click play here by shuffle, then it will play in an order. That's stupid. Why? Just play the damn album, you know what I mean. Album covers here actually look really crisp compared to YouTube Music, which might as well display it on my toilet paper. Sometimes they animate, which adds nothing. I expected to have trouble finding artists, but I was amazed how much I did find through my searches. I didn't go through every artist I've ever listened to, but I did go through a lot. It took me 2 days to rebuild my generic playlists. I didn't use the heart feature where you can just add a song to a like playlist because I only ran into 3 albums that weren't available. Karstic Cars self-titled, the fact they're on here at all is surprising, Chili Beans EPs, and August is Falling's The Simple Plan. That last one is a shitpost. Given how short the EPs are, that makes sense. Karstic Cars are a Chinese punk band in a country that loathes punk up until very recently, so the fact I found a post of that album on YouTube Music at all blows my mind. It might be label stuff too, I don't know. You'd be amazed how much Chinese music is available for us Yanks to cruise. Funny note, any album I had trouble finding, I would just search the album instead of the artist and find it. I think it's because of label bullshit like with Machine Girl and Dog Fashion Disco, but it's still annoying. Actually, Dog Fashion Disco's originally fucking damn it! Dog Fashion Disco's Embryo and Bloom is actually on here, the original one. I mean, I guess I can listen to it. I mean, should I get my crab to eat it? The one artist I really caught this with was with Cardiac's Guns for some reason. They combine singles and EPs, but give LPs their own category. Spotify has a problem, mostly due to distribution services like DistroKid, where artists would get merged, and AI slop would be dropped as new albums from established bands like Swans. I only saw this once on YouTube Music, and it was fixed instantly. So this is going to be the dumbest thing you're going to hear. Mind my annoying cat in the background, he's hungry. That artist was Absent Chronicles, and when I looked them up, I found the album. It was, you'll see it, it's a snake on the screen, you'll see it here. And I don't know if this is like they got hacked or something, but it turns out that fucking AI thing that I saw on my brother's Spotify was actually their music. I looked them up on Bandcamp, there it is. This shitty snail on a beach ball album cover. That is so dumb, because I was looking them up because I was like, oh, I'm going to shout them out in this recording because, you know, they got usurped by this AI. No, they are the AI. I'm not saying, by the way, that artists should never, ever use AI. It depends. But mainly, look at how Shaman or Cowman, or however the fuck you pronounce it, they've been using it to make these really gory and ugly abstract art. And given the fact they have a bunch of albums preceding this, my guess is they probably made them themselves. Maybe they lost touch with their artist, or maybe they chose to go this direction. I don't know. But the point is, if you're going to make AI art, 1, finish it. You have scabs on your album cover. And 2, don't make it look like a stock image. And Tidal, I only saw this amazingly twice. Swans and Lucid Planet. I understand that it's a pain in the ass to untangle this for all services involved, but come on, Tidal. I know this isn't Swans. The band that wrote fucking Amnesia.
The president's mouth is a whore.
Aren't using soy jacks and care about pills. And I know it shouldn't matter that much, but you would be amazed at the amount of people who look at shit like this and generally go, oh, they must be going in a new direction or something. So many people get fooled by AI art because they just don't care. It's infuriating. So yes, please fix this, Tidal. And a third artist to add to this list is Dev. They made Dancing in the Dark. They were on the Like a G6. In their case on Tidal, it seems like they're actually just merged with a bunch of artists named Dev. I don't think these are AI. This seems to be like two or three different artists that have been like merged together. There's a bunch of artists like this. This one seems a little less annoying to untangle, but yeah, that was another one I saw while on Tidal. In their defense, dev is inactive, so whatever. For Lucid Planet, this is clearly just a different artist entirely that uses the same name, and they just got merged because Lucid Planet, much to my unending frustration, are inactive. Just some generic playlist artists. I get it because Lucid Planet is kind of just not that deep of a name, but still, come on, guys. The app is a lot more stiff than Spotify. The layout is a bit too much like it, where it wants to pre-curate you, and I would rather just be left alone. Again, YouTube Music did this better. Someone confirm this. Does this service have direct upload, or does this just act as a cloud service? Because that would make YouTube Music and Tidal the only streaming services you can directly plug to. When I press the pause button on my headset or whatever, it actually pauses immediately. There's normally a delay for me, so it surprised me how swift it was. Not on Bluetooth with a wire. I don't like Bluetooth because every once in a while the music will just disappear and I'll be like, oh, I know what's happening. I like that the library separates saved albums from your playlist. This was really annoying with YouTube Music because it shuffled everything, which made it lag. If you delete a song in a playlist you're using, it reloads the playlist. It can also break and just lock you in an endless loop until you leave. YouTube Music also had this, but it's much better at reloading playlists. Where Tidal just cannot do it. It's much easier to shuffle and sort your playlist here with a little more options, though it tends to shift depending on which order you did in a different playlist. That's like a global thing. When I was editing a playlist, you don't press the save button unless you change the text. You just leave and it saves the custom order. This should be communicated a little more clearly. To add a song, you have to go into the search tab because otherwise you're just searching your playlist. This is more a preference thing and I'll get used to it, but adding songs is a bit easier on other platforms, but it also means I can actually find a specific song I want much easier, but again, gotta get used to it. Also, it expects you to add a bunch to a playlist, and ordering it is kind of janky. It is way easier to reorganize than YouTube Music, so good on that. YouTube Music would have this bug where you would move the songs, and then when you left and reloaded it, it would just shuffle them in the order it remembered. Google, I know you have more energy than this, you fucking scum. I don't know how I feel about the font, honestly. It's at least a unique choice, but for a short time it was wide to my eyes. There's this feature Tidal touts where you can live stream your playlist like a radio station and other people can tune in. It's a cool idea and I've never desired to use it. Maybe one day, but I'm still getting used to the app. Besides some UI growing pains and grumbles, that's mostly it. Remember back then, in the good old days, when I said that artists added by the Switcheroo service were blanked out in Tidal? Funny that, because I was able to re-add them. I think I was only unable to find maybe a couple songs or albums in total, because Tidal is actually very different in one way. Audio quality, which begs the question, why does that matter? While you can set your Spotify and YouTube Music to play in high quality in the settings, you're basically playing an MP3 at higher quality. Where Tidal uses FLACs, which are a lossless format. Side note, Spotify said they were going to switch to lossless and they never did, because why would they? Which begs the question, what is that? To understand why anyone cares ever, we need to go back. 93 billion years ago, digital audio files had to convert analog or physical sounds into digital files through the 80s, which compression was a new technology that just kind of pushed and shoved a larger file into a smaller space. MP3s only became a technology around the age of CDs in the 90s, mixed in with WMA, OGG, and APE files. MP3s were efficient and they also used to sound like shit. Analog technicians didn't even take the technology seriously, even as it threatened their careers when it became accessible. Oops. Skipping that, lossless files like FLACs and WAVs take up more space, but the benefit is that their audio quality is higher. And this used to be a much higher difference. In the decades since, especially since streaming became normalized, we've gotten better at compressing until a high-level MP3 and low-level FLAC are close enough. Not the same, but you're not going to notice if you're just casually listening to Spotify with whatever headphones you got for your birthday at 12. Tidal has a feature that allows you to see the quality of the file you're listening to. They touted audio fidelity as their strong suit. You'd think this would be the deal breaker amongst these companies, but we'll get to that. It is cool that Tidal lets you see the quality of the track. I mean, it is still streaming. All you need to know is that I didn't really expect much of a difference at all. I have decent equipment, and I was just expecting minor differences even knowing about YouTube's compression. How good could the difference be? Which is to say that when I did start listening to what music I'd plopped onto the surface, I actually got a headache from the difference. Turns out the difference between lossless and compressed, while subtle, has a butterfly effect to it. You can better hear the texture of the bass strings, the beater falling against the kick drum, the tinginess of the cymbals, and the reverb especially. There's a lot more space for instruments to breathe instead of everything being squished into one space. It's also kind of fun because I've learned most of my tracks are in the high range, which is, I guess, a 16-bit FLAC. The service I used to transition everything probably just used those, and it's the ones that were blocked out were probably in max only. 16 bits is like one red cabbage for comparison. Some of them are in max, which is a 24-bit FLAC, Napa Cabbage. I only found one low track, which was Payne's Jabberjaw, because it's their mixtape, and I still think that album sounds great as is. If you want a weird hidden ska jam, check that out. If you haven't heard it, it's the album with Me and My Friends Get No Respect. What would Scooby do in a jumbo jet? Iceberg Lettuce. Most people stick to Spotify mostly because they target casual listeners of music, and there's nothing wrong with just enjoying an inflow of background music or radio picks. I don't have a problem with casual listeners, and I'm not that deep of an audio junkie either. I don't want to fuck the headphones. I don't necessarily like people who only listen to an inflow of crap all the time, but if that's what you want to do, you're going to do it. Music quality hasn't really been an issue since the late 2000s. For most people, they just want something to fill the silence. Spotify was the cheapest option and the first, so it stays the most popular. Even when Tidal offers better sound quality, and proves it, that is still a niche. Even one that I, as someone who enjoys music, didn't really desire. Because you don't know what that means unless you have experience with it. I may be vaguely affluent in some ways, but I still went to a poor school with a lower middle class family. What music sounded like was just what we thought it was. It wasn't until I wore those sound cores that I learned that there were even sounds I'd never even noticed were gone. And now with Tidal, that's kind of also the case. What's funny is that my access to technology does kind of impede on my interest in listening to music. 2021 was the first year I really focused on new music when I got the sound cores. 2023 and 4, I spent listening to a lot of old material with my new equipment, and now I'm doing the same with Tidal. I do have my own collection of WAVs, and I use them now and then, but I do just like trying out new stuff. Randomly listening to singles is fun, and you know what? Music is supposed to be fun, right? I feel like in this age of everything being bad all the time forever, I've gotten kinda jaded. To tell you the truth, where I spent the first half of 2022 on hiatus from new music, the majority of 2023 off the pulse, and half of 2024 MIA, up until recently, I spent most of 2025 not listening to any music. Sometimes I put on headphones and just lay there in silence, once on the floor. Great day that was. I spent a week with a stomach bomb that has left me dizzy when I turn my head too quickly ever since, where some songs even made me nauseous. Part of it came from some aging tech I got. The USB-C port on my work phone is a little busted, and while I do have Bluetooth headphones, my face sweats horribly no matter what. Denver doesn't have summer and winter, it has summer and clouds with wind. My old Bluetooth buds are dead because they're all old, and I'm not trying to waste too much money on garbage right now. I like to listen to music while going on long walks, and I can't do that with my work phone. The other one doesn't connect to 5G because OnePlus has a feud with T-Mobile, because that's my fault. I mean, it seems more urgent than ever to be more ethical with purchases, right? Yes, people do produce music with the interest of making money. It's always on the table. Even for me, to some tiny extent. The world is cruel. However, music is still an art form meant to be listened to, and in some ways it's also made for fun. I don't like this new consensus that all art is just about making money. Yes, everyone needs to eat, but music serves more purpose than profit. Even then, if you want to support artists directly, then do that. Buy their material or send them money. Streaming is just for accessibility. Since I want to end this on a light note, here are some songs I have some notes for, from Tidal. I can't show off any of this because of compression and also because I don't know what speakers or headphones you have. Feel Good Incorporated by Gorillaz, you can hear the texture of the bass string. The Devil Forgiven, That's Why by Shoo Shoo. The vocals are split by left and right, you can hear both vocalists clearer since there's no compression. Rare Animal by Glass Beach has all these clear synths and guitar plucks and it just deepens the already nightly mood to it. The guitar sounds phenomenal. Like the little plucks and electronics sound like fireflies going off. It's really cute. 12 to 12 by Somber has a lot of reverb and effects, and while Tidal doesn't really do much to it, the space in the song is blown up. Turn to Stone by ELO sounds incredible and lossless since it is an orchestra. There are like 2 instruments far to the side I didn't even notice before. The violin is way clearer. When the Laughter Stops by Yardak and Katie J. Pearson has this hard kick drum and you can hear it vibrate as the beater hits it. I mean, I don't love this song, but this whole album is filled with details galore. Some tracks have Dolby Atmos, which seems to be Tidal's spatial audio, where if you have earbuds or something, you can spin your head and the band will spin with you. Feel like throwing up, I guess. Mother Mother by Tracy Bonham has this horn in the back that is subtle in the mix. It's like mariachi inspired. But in Tidal, you can kind of listen along even as the song explodes. Oasis by J.C. Foster was a song I used for headphones to see how crisp and clear, since the mix is really buried in bass and processing, and the FLAC sounds fucking wonderful. I really adore this song, it sounds beautiful.
It's gonna be cool and clean and calm. Maybe on the pathway there, we can make the pathway warm.
Just Dance by Lady Gaga and Colby O'Donis, yeah. Sounds like dubstep with the additional sub bass. And there's a person who requested Paper Chase years ago. I'm sorry I forgot about you. My head was fucked that year. I didn't check out the entire album that song is, but the opening track to that album, yeah, everything's just a little clear here though. I only listened to it once.
Breathe in the soil under your shoe. I don't know about you.
For the person requesting the El Hellos, I'll get to them, don't worry. Rio Grande by the El Hellos is this luscious folk song with these beautiful guitars and drums with soft vocals about the divide between Mexico and the U.S. over the Rio Grande.
Somewhere down south of here, there's a woman with an armload of grass.
And the idea that small pieces can come together to work towards something better. It's ultimately about optimism, in my opinion. The idea that while you cannot fix the world, you can be a small piece to do something better. The writing and poetry is beautiful, the harmonies are gorgeous, and the whole album sounds like that.
From her mouth, the vineyard swears that hallelujah's entwined.
I have the WAVs for this album, and listening to it was like going to a symphony. It was so pretty.
Oh, maybe I'm naive for thinking that a mountain so stubborn can move. But if I'm a mountain moving, I think maybe you can be too.
I should point out that high fidelity is best for live albums and symphonies, and funny that I only started to listen to those now that I can hear them. There's a new Live Killers album. I'm actually gonna listen to it with this thing just to test out the hefts I got. I understand that to an extent this all comes off as a bright-eyed echo chamber for you if you're even vaguely familiar with the concept. Good for you. And if you can't really access this stuff and it kind of just sounds like, I don't know, someone getting a luxury car and talking about how cool it is, but you're never gonna get it. I mean, you know, except this is all digital stuff, and piracy's actually really easy. I'm not gonna talk against piracy, I'll be honest with you. I used to be against it, but nowadays I'm like, you know, especially with a lot of policies changing and things becoming expensive, just do it, goddammit. Yeah, it's illegal and unethical, but like, who cares? We're all gonna die. Fucking God. I'm not gonna pretend I'm a saint. I know who I am, and I'm not some pure soul. I'm one person in this fucked up world, unsure how to fix any problem, deeply soaked in pessimism from the last year's onslaught of misery. Moving to Tidal wasn't even that hard, I just didn't want to do it. Even still, it does kind of remind me of having to let go of a lot when I moved out of my old mold-ridden house into my small apartment. I had to leave some stuff behind, and I didn't really get much when I moved out, but even then, I find myself content with what I do have. I got to make some new space for new ideas, and in my new place, if my sister moves out, she might not, I'll finally get a room to myself again. I'll be able to breathe on my own, have night terrors without waking up my poor brother. Music is supposed to be fun, and I want to have fun. I just wanted to make something lighter, since I've been making a lot of serious videos, and I thought my experience swapping streaming services was interesting. It might give someone else the huff to do it if they're kind of on the fence. In terms of that concept of starting over, there's a new album by Patricia Taxon, Ignition, that I like the concept of, and, well, I'm going to do a video on it. That's a promise. And it was very comforting this year. All right, Tropical Fuckstorm. You're next.